Hi everyone, Matt Horspool here from etchd Photography. Thank you so much for dropping by again today. What I wanted to talk about is the build of my Pocket 4K rig and how I use it for my kind of commercial and project, just fun projects. But how I have designed it so I can hot swap it quickly from this to bare bones, to my Ronin, to my Monopod, to my really odd looking shoulder mount, and then onto my tripod here in a matter of seconds. And when I'm talking about seconds, I'm actually mean just like less than 10 seconds for some of them. So if you're new to this channel, I am an adventure travel photographer based in Sydney, Australia, but I like to film and photograph all types of things from around the world. Lately I've been really into motorbikes and automotive kinds of things, but working commercially as well and onto some smaller projects. But yeah, so I've only had the Pocket 4K since maybe October last year. And like you, I'd probably watched all of the rig builds you could find online. And it can be very confusing because, especially with the small rig stuff, how there is lots and lots of different pieces and they don't necessarily all fit together how you would picture it online. First of all as well, I'm so sorry about it. It is raining outside and there is trucks and buses and cars going out everywhere, so I apologize if you can hear that in the background, but I need to get this video out because I'm not going to be able to film it over the next few weeks. I have, the Pocket 4K, and I wanted to use, I see a lot of people who have designed their rig to be really big and heavy, and they say it's functional for their run and gun, but really, I'm used to shooting Olympus cameras, so I have, which is what it's filming on now, small, lightweight, really fast to use, can put it on my hip. And I really wanted to kind of keep that kind of progression when I built out this rig. So like you, I watched a lot of videos and I ended up kind of having a mix between maybe three. James Matthews' one was really good. I watched it maybe 5 times to try and sort of mold it around what he had done, and then I adapted it as time went on. So where I'm at now is I just shot a wedding on the weekend and I use all of these interchangeably, and I thought, well, it's actually working really well. I can do this super quickly now. I think maybe it's time to make the video. So first of all, I know I've said first of all many times, so let's say third of all, I just would like to say this is the setup that works for me. Not everyone is going to be using this kind of setup for their work. It may not work for you, that's fine. But this works for me, and then maybe you can adapt it to your own personal preferences and go from there. But I would like you to drop a comment in the comments below if you feel that you have some questions that I haven't answered. Perhaps you would like some advice on if you think something else might work, or maybe you've got some different ideas on how I could improve it, because hey, I'm learning like you. So yeah, a few people have seen that in my port keys video that it looks a little bit different now, and that's because that was the first time I built it out, and like you, I'd probably bought a few too many things than I needed. But now I've stripped it back down and just got what I need and it works well. So yeah, let's get to it. So we'll go the first thing. I have I guess this is the full rig, you would say. I'll move the Ronin out of the way. And this is kind of what I use if I'm just hand holding, like for a job. The video of the motorbikes that I'll post up there somewhere. I was shooting exactly like this, and then I was hot swapping it to the Ronin in between, and it was taking, maybe 30 seconds to swap them over. Super, super handy. What I wanted to do is I wanted to make it fast, light, and kind of work for my body type, I guess, as well. Because I have, I guess, broad shoulders, but I'm kind of short as well, and not that tall, so I have something that I can move around quite easily and get up high and also get down low, and works for me. So basically this is what it is. I've got the matte box on the front, which I don't always use. The port keys LH5H. This is just a quick rundown. I've got the small rig handle, small rig half cage, NPF battery, small rig battery plate, handle, and this little bad boy here, which I'll talk about soon, comes off the Ronin. You might see here as well, that's the follow focus off the Ronin as well. I just leave it on, and a few filters on the front, and that's basically it. So now I can hold it here up against my body with this grip. I've got lots of support there, or if I want to get up a bit higher, I've been able to go like this, or like this, and then this actually hooks into my arm and get even more support. So that's it. It looks pretty easy, doesn't it? And because it is. Before I break everything down, I want to show you how quickly it is I can move from this to the gimbal, to the tripod, to the monopod, and to the shoulder rig. And then what I'll do is I'll build it back up with all the different parts, and then I'll leave them in the description below so you can go through and have a look. Now, when you do go through, some of the parts are different because Small Rig now, A, have stopped stocking those, or B, they're out of stock, and I've just put like say for one of these NATO rails, instead of the 90mm that I have, I've actually just used, I've just put down there the 100mm. It will work just the same. So for most of you, you're going to be using your rig to a gimbal, I would say. Maybe not always, but it's how I would use this setup the most. So I'll show you how quick it is to go from this to this. I've got it all set up on a NATO rail so I can move it really quickly, and you can see as well I've got the NPF on both the camera and the Ronin, so I don't have to keep swapping them over. I've got so many of these NPF batteries, they last forever. Now I will say that I have the follow focus on here, and it doesn't actually reach the on the Sigma 18 to 35. Absolute pain in the ass that they use a 12mm rod instead of the standard 15mm rod. I've seen on forums the DJI said well, they're trying to limit weight, but it's just a pain in the ass. So what I actually do, I use the Olympus 12 to 40mm f2.8. I'll link that below, and I actually just swap it over super quickly as well. It's already got the step up ring. I just take the filters off, just tack them straight on, and then hook this up, the follow focus up, and it works brilliantly in that. And it's actually so much lighter than using this lens as well. So, right, we will set the timer and let's go. And let's go off. Gimbal here. Off. On. Follow focus if I was going to be using it, and straight into there, and turn the gimbal on. Let's go. Obviously you've got the matte box on the front, but I don't always shoot with the matte box on there, but just for the sake of practicality for this one, I left it on. And you see it's actually powered by the NPF here, and I have no issues with the cable ever getting in the road at all. So then I can go and shoot. So that one was pretty quick, hey? And then I've just got these parts all together here. I've got the monitor on the top handle, the side handle, battery comes off, and then this cable. And then I just kind of leave those all together. So then when I do need to set it back up, I can go from there. So next one, from here, if I really then don't want to use the gimbal, I'm in tight space, I don't want to have all of this stuff on there, maybe I'm going for a hike, or I'm in, say, the dance floor or something like that of a wedding, I can unclip all of these again. Take this off. Just so you know, you will balance the gimbal beforehand, because you wouldn't, obviously, for time's sake, try and balance the gimbal during that event you've at. So I put this here. I might take the matte box off because it's not actually needed. And then what I'll do there is I've got my Peak Design strap. It's already here. Put a battery back on here maybe. Put this around my neck. And now I can shoot. And this is how I kind of travel and hike. I don't use this lens. I use the Olympus because it's so much smaller and easier to use. And can just move around like this, up, down. Super, super easy to do. So that's handheld strip back. All right, so potentially you might want to use, and I do sometimes use, a shoulder mount. So this shoulder mount here it's a funny looking thing, and I only actually saw it maybe a few months ago watching a wedding videographer in Sydney using them. So I had a bit of a look. It's plastic, but it's super strong plastic, and I had a look online on eBay and they were going for about 50 bucks. There was one on, there's one on Amazon as well, which I'll link below. But I ended up picking this up from a lady who was doing weddings, and she was doing them maybe for the past 20 years and was selling all the gear. So I picked this up for 20 bucks. So $20, and it sits like this on your chest, on your shoulder. I'm not gonna do a full review on what this is, but then can tighten here. So I take these off, that off. Now you can leave the monitor on, you can leave the side handle on, and what I've got on here is I've got a small rig cheese plate, and I've got a small rig Arca Swiss adapter, and I just put this in here, from this side probably, and lock it, and now I have my shoulder. And you would not believe how stable this thing is. Like, it is so small and light and easy and comfortable to use. I've got the huge big screen up here. I don't actually need the monitor, and I can get super steady shots. I can make it aim a bit lower if my chest is a bit different. Can put it up here. I've seen people shooting with them to the side as well. Or if I've got the top handle on, I can actually loosen this off, get the top handle, and shoot down low as well. Like, that thing is so small and easy to use, and it's sturdy, like rock solid. Great for travel, I think. So I'm gonna actually be taking this when I go, when we can travel and get on planes. So yeah, that just clips off, that one's done. So if you're shooting a lot of weddings as well, let me just take this off because it's really annoying me. Okay. If you're going to be shooting a lot of weddings as well, you might want to use a monopod, which I was using on the weekend as well. So the monopod, again, Arca Swiss. This is the Surui off my VHD tripod. So I'll link that below. Fantastic tripod because it's got conventional legs, but video head. Super, super good for travel and getting low angles. Anyway, I have, again, I can just clip this into here, tighten, I have a monopod. Easy as that. Unscrew, comes out, done. Now the beauty of this plate again, which I'm going to get to, is that I can then get my tripod, which this is the Surui W2204, and instead of mounting it this way, I have to put it in this way, but that's fine. And then straight onto the tripod as well. Tripod to everything. Off the tripod. So if you're shooting a wedding, you have the tripod set up, multiple tripods set up. You have your monopod sitting in a corner somewhere for easy access. You have your shoulder mount or shoulder rig sitting somewhere. Now, if you don't have this, or you've got a conventional shoulder rig, this is just an Arca Swiss plate. You can mount it into anything. It's just that this was so much smaller, cheaper. I mean, 20 bucks. Come on. Anyway, I'll link that below. So as you can see then, if I want to go back to building it back up, well, battery's already on there. I just slide this back on, tighten, slide this back on. When the little button wants to go down. Tighten, put my battery back in, 12 volt to here, 12 volt to here when it actually plugs in, 7.4 volt, back to HDMI, tidy your cables up a bit, and tighten that up, back to handheld, slap, follow the mat box back on, shooting. So that's basically it in terms of moving things out, like in between the different mounting options. So what I'll do now is I'll break down each of the parts so you can see just exactly how I've put them together, and I'll talk about why I chose those parts. All right, so let's talk about this and this. This, if you haven't got one of these small rig little tools, which I'll link in the description below as well, this is a phenomenal piece of equipment that will be a lifesaver when you are running around. It comes in a nice little case right here, and I actually put a lanyard on it and slap it to the bag or tie it to my bag as well, because things, Allen keys, little screws, all of those come undone all the time. So if you haven't got one, get one of these. The premise behind this is the secret behind this, sorry, is the NATO rail that sits on top of the small rig half cage. I didn't want to get a full cage. Maybe I could have, a bit of more protection, but I decided against it. So this NATO rail fits most of these things on there, and that's why I can get it off so quickly. Let's give that out of the way again. So NPF batteries, because I don't want to use V-mount, they're expensive, too big. I can have heaps of these, and these last me most of the day. Not most of the day, a few hours. The port keys can also take this. Just have a look at my review, I talk about that as well. But I've got it actually on the small rig power plate here, NPF plate, and that will power both the camera and the monitor. And it means I only have to have one battery with me at all times. So that comes off. So the port keys monitor, and then I have my NATO rail here, side handle, and this is the one that James Matthews mentioned about, and it was super, super handy. I've also got a little cold shoe adapter screwed onto the top, so I can put my Rode mic on the side, which is super handy. But there also is an option up here, which I don't kind of use. Let's just take these off. I also have the small rig NATO top handle. The reason I have this one is that it has, well, at the time, it has an inbuilt Allen key, which is super handy, which I can't get out. It slides onto the NATO rail that I'm going to show you here. So you can see here, but it also has these two little screws here that I can unscrew and turn the handle around and mount it back on. So if I wanted this end at the back and this end at the front, because there's a rosette here, you've got options. I also have the small rig monitor mount here, which I'll link in the description. And I like this one because you can actually put an Allen key in here and tighten it, and then things don't come loose. Again, the port keys LH5H, which I can control the Pocket 4K wirelessly with Bluetooth. It's super light, 1700 nits of brightness, brilliant. This little cable has been something that has been really, really popular. People message me all the time, where did I get this? It's a company called Zillar, Z-I-L-R. I'll link it in the description below, you can have a look at that. They're actually from Melbourne, and they make, this is an 8K cable, I think it's about 40 centimeters. And because it's so thin, we all know that the Atomos cable is absolute rubbish, and it's like $80 Australian, but this guy is like $45, I think, and they come in different lengths. Looks nice, feels really well made, and yeah, I can wind it around. It works well with the gimbal as well if I use it, but it has been an absolute lifesaver. I'm gonna actually buy another one of these. So yep, everything's powered to the NPF plate. And you see, I've mounted the NPF plate directly onto the cage and not onto anything else, because now in my original videos when I was reviewing the port keys, I actually had the plate on this, but when I took this off I would lose the plate. So now I've mounted it to the top of the small rig cage here. And that way now I can do my handheld and have a battery, sling it around, Bob's your uncle. Everything's put into here. I used to have the cable, what are they called? The little cable protector here, so things wouldn't come out, but I found that when I put the hand on the other side, it would hit my hand and it was kind of annoying, and I don't really ever have my hand here, actually, to be honest. I'm always using focus manually underneath, resting on this rail and doing that. You'll see that I've also got these tilter follow focus gears on my Sigma. I've got them all over my Olympus lenses as well. They're tilter follow focus gears. I'll link them below as well. Amazing, they're actually for your lenses, so they fit on there. And even when I'm not using the follow focus, it's just so much more tactile and easy for my finger to manually focus there. Great little things. Okay, so yep, small rig cage, and then you see I've got this little NATO rail here, and this is the money maker here, because I've mounted that on top of the NATO rail of my small rig half cage, and this is the 90mm, and that allows me to use both of the handles to slide straight on and off instantly. Without that, the whole speedy process wouldn't be possible. I'm using CFast Lexa cards, the 256 gig. They're bloody expensive, but I was using the Samsung T5 SSD with the mount on top. However, just having the CFast cards is just so much easier, and to be honest, it's really worth the money for me. I'm worried about damaging the Samsung. So from there, that's basically about it from the cage, the Sigma and the Metabones Ultra 0.71 speed booster. A few people have asked me on forums about how have I fit the Tilta Mini matte box with the filters. So what I have done, and I've done this in kind of not the wrong order, but I've done them in a way that there is a bit of vignetting at the widest angle on the Sigma 18 to 35 and on my 12 to 40 Olympus. And that's because I've got a one step up ring from 72 to 77. Then I've got from 77, I have the Hoya UV IR cut filter. Let me take this off. UV IR. And then I screw in the Tilta Mini matte box adapter ring, the 77mm. And then inside that, this is the key. Inside that, I've then screwed my 77mm Pro Mist. That's 1/8 in there, and I pretty much shoot all the time with a 1/8 on there or the quarter, and that screws inside here, which then allows me to screw my variable ND, which is the B&W, into the adapter ring. Now people will figure out, how do you mount your variable ND? Well, inside this 77mm adapter ring is another really shallow thread, so you have to put a smaller filter or a step-up ring in there. I actually couldn't find a step-up ring. I know there is, not a step-up ring, sorry, an extension ring. So I just put the Pro Mist in there, and then that slides over. So then when I'm swapping from my 12 to 40, I can just literally screw that off, put it straight, even with the matte box, screw that straight off, put it on the 12 to 40 and start shooting on the gimbal. That's fine. Okay, so what I'll go on to now is the little plate here. And again, like the NATO rail on the top, this is the key component that helps me swap between all of these different things. Now this, I'm pretty sure I've had a look, you can't actually buy it yet, but I'm hoping they will, because I'd like to get a spare. And this is actually the Arca Swiss riser plate for my Ronin RS2. So if you're using a Ronin RS2, it comes with this plate. There's two. There's a thick one that has the little holes here, and then there's a shallow one. I use the thicker one. I mount it to the bottom of the cage, screw it in. Then I leave the follow focus 12mm rod on there, and I leave the follow focus on there because when I actually swap it over to my 12 to 40, this is already there. So now I just hide that away. I rest my hand on here and focus, and it's great. And then when I do put it on the gimbal, I loosen that back off, swap my lens over, and then the follow focus is ready. Now, if I'm not going to be using the gimbal, I will actually just take that all off. I might add a few extra, like the cable protectors. I might add the lens support, which I also have as well, which I haven't got on here at the moment. I felt that the connection's been pretty good, so I've not needed to worry. But if I was just exclusively shooting with this lens and the body, I would put that on. I have it. So this little plate here is brilliant because it is an Arca Swiss. Now you can see here is two diameters, obviously. There is a shorter side and then there is a longer side. Now this took me a little bit to figure out, even though it was quite simple. A lot of tripods, especially the cheaper ones and smaller ones, will have an Arca Swiss adapter to it. So let's have a look here. An adapter mounting plate, as you can see on this one. Now this is there's actually different size Arca mounting brackets, and that's what was confusing to start with. When I've got my my Monopods one, let's just do this, you'll see that they're actually two different widths, and that makes it super annoying because if you've got a plate that doesn't fit, a big plate that doesn't fit this one, you can't use it. Or if you've got a big plate and you're trying to use it on here, it also doesn't work. But with this little piece, if I slide it into my smaller side, it locks in straight away. Then I can use it. Brilliant. Now, if I want to go to the Monopod, which has a video tripod that has a much larger one, instead of sliding it in sideways, I can just slide it in forwards and back, like front on, and it locks in. It's the perfect size. And that was the key. For some reason, I was sitting there just stressing out. I couldn't figure out on the small rig site and all on Amazon, they couldn't give me actual dimensions of mounting brackets. But it just so happened, I just tried it one day and it actually just fit. So this is brilliant. What I'm going to tell you now though is one of the biggest flaws of this setup, and I'm going to fix it. I just haven't done it yet. What I found with a lot of these products, especially the small rig stuff, they've got a lot of mounting plates holes, but a lot of the non-proprietary and actually even some of the proprietary components, they don't all line up. So you can only use one screw, which is an absolute pain in the ass because, as you know, one screw, when things are heavy, they'll start to twist around, and this can happen with this setup. So I've got the screw that came with the Ronin, and it's screwed in. I can do it with finger tight, or I can use a screwdriver, which I normally do. But there are actually two small 1/4-inch holes in there, and they almost line up to each other. But if you put 2 bolts in, they don't. It's really, really annoying. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to drill this plate out a tiny bit and stick another bolt in there, and it's not going to move because I use this all the time as well. I might actually even just Loctite it in there and it can just be permanent then. But yeah, that little plate is really, really handy, and I hope DJI actually sell a few more of these so I can butcher a few more of them just in case. So that's pretty much that built. So onto the Ronin. You see it's the RS2. I got the Pro combo just because I like to spend money. I have on here the Tilter battery plate. I originally was just going to have one, but I thought if I'm going to do this quickly, I want to be able to have a battery ready to go, slap it on, turn it on. So in order to mount this, I needed the dual handles, which I highly recommend anyway, because this gets pretty heavy holding it like this. all the time. But having it like this, as you know, when you can see the Ronin rings, makes it so much easier. And that's basically it. I've got the Raven eye. There's nothing else attached here that there's kind of extra. If I wanted to put the monitor on there, I have tried a few different options. It cannot go on this arm if you want to use it underslung mode, because the monitor is going to be in the wrong spot, which is kind of a pain, but it's doable. I find just the screen on the Pocket is enough anyway. It's so big, but I have mounted a small rig monitor mount off here. I need to get a bigger one, and actually then the monitor can sit off to the side and plug straight into the battery pack and be powered from there as well. So nothing, you can read so much more about the Ronin. It's pretty easy to find online. So this shoulder mount, I've quickly touched on it before. Super cheap, super easy, great thing for travel. That actually just slides into the side of my bag. I looked at getting actual shoulder rigs, but this, when you try one of these and actually put it on and realize actually how comfortable it is, how comfortable and easy it is to use. This way again. And look at this. Look, Ma, no hands. It makes it really, really easy. Obviously you wouldn't do that all the time. And I just shoot like this. I've got access to all of my buttons here. Nice grip. My focus. If you wanted to have the tilt to follow focus mounted onto the side rail, you could. It depends on how you want to be shooting. But for like things like weddings and events, it's nice just to be able to move around like this. And you can get such smooth footage. The only kind of footage you don't get that's quite smooth is walking forward. But that's what the gimbal's for, right? So when I was trying to build this thing up, let's move all of this out of the way. It comes with just this plate and a few other riser adapters, and then just one screw. So what I did is I bought the cheese plate from Small Rig because I was trying to figure out what type of Arca Swiss mounting plate would mount onto the bottom of this. I lucked out and got the right one, thankfully. This mounting plate has tons of holes on there, but none of them really line up. Luckily, I managed to put a 3/8 adapter, a 1/4 inch to 3/8 adapter inside there, just a little screw, which I'll also link below. Let me show you what that looks like. I've got one on here. I've got one actually screwed into here as a spare. So that means I can put a 1/4 inch screw into here, and that will stop that plate from moving off the cheese plate. And to stop the cheese plate from moving, because I only had one screw, one main bolt that came with it, I just screwed another 1/4 inch, a long enough one that goes up the middle of the slider. Rock solid, rock solid. Now, you know how I was talking about that this has to be mounted different ways. You need to mount, if you're going to do this, or potentially on your shoulder rig, you need to turn the plate sideways so you're actually sliding in from the side, and that way it makes use of the thinner mounting way, but it also means the camera's facing forward. Just a little tip for you there. So that's that shoulder mount. The monopod, pretty self-explanatory. This is the VHD fluid head, super handy, but again, I need to slide it in, I need to slide it in front on this time and lock it in that way. Get nothing else really about that monopod. The beauty of having that little adapter is it will fit pretty much every Arca Swiss size plate, mounting bracket. Brilliant. And then again onto the tripod, nothing really to say about tripods. Tripods are tripods, but you can mount it on quite easily. You don't even need to use the Ronin mounting plate if you don't want. It is just a riser plate for Arca Swiss and one of the smaller ones. but make sure if you do get one that it has the Arca kind of recess all the way around it. But I think from memory, when I had the Weeble, it worked as well. That had one of these plates. I think most gimbals will have this plate, or you can just buy one and then it will hot swap even between everything. Even if you don't own a gimbal, you can just have one of these plates and hot swap it into your shoulder rig or your tripod or monopod, and it should work fine. So that is basically it for how I have rigged out my Pocket Cinema 4K. Of course, this will work with the 6K. I'm not entirely sure about the 6K Pro. Welcome to people to try it out. As I said, this works for me. It's probably going to evolve again. It's evolved every month. It evolves every job that I do or every event that I film. I change things to suit. But after shooting that wedding on the weekend, I can safely say this swapping between all of these was a breeze, and it was really, really handy to have something that could be put on a gimbal really quickly. Ideally, if you're going to have two cameras, I would leave one on the gimbal. But I don't, so I just had this one and it worked really well, and using that monopod was really handy. But then I found myself just using this for most of the time because it was just so steady. I could take both hands off if I needed to, and it was so small as well. Bloody cheap. Pick one up. Other than that, I think that is it. If you have any questions, obviously drop them in the comments below. I think that I've covered every little piece that is in all of this kit. In the description, I will have the gimbal components, I'll have these components, I'll have the shoulder rig and the tripods. So hopefully all of those pieces are in there. If not, just shoot me a message and I'll try and find the exact ones. For those pieces that have different codes now because Small Rig don't stock them anymore, or they've changed them, I will leave the code in the description and you can see what the original one was and what the new one is. So yeah, apart from that, I think that is it. Let me know what you think. See ya.